Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a topic that is often debated. How long can you leave eggs on the counter, and how long is an unpreserved egg good for? You may have heard a lot of conflicting information from people as to how long an egg can actually last on the counter at room temperature. Now, while the short answer is that a properly handled egg can last up to 4 months, there are a lot of variables that come into play that can change that time frame. Many people have varying opinions on this, but in truth, there are quite a few facts that you actually can rely on. And if you are to understand if an egg can safely sit out on your counter, and for how long, you must first understand the hen's biology. First, eggs are laid by the hen, which by nature are typically laid between 24 to 48 hours apart, depending on the breed. Then the hen will continue to lay eggs until she has formed a clutch or a group of eggs. At this point, she will begin to have transitioned into what we call broody and will begin to incubate those eggs. For the sake of this video, we won't get into what broody means, what happens to the hen, or in the incubation cycle of the egg. Let's save that for a later date. The laying of her clutch will take the hen several days. In fact, it may take up to 2 weeks. And make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video. I want you to learn how this behavior has greatly benefited humans. I got some bonus material for you. So before the hen can start to collect the eggs, we as farmers collect the eggs one or multiple times a day, thus preventing the hen from ever forming the clutch, the hen going broody, and we break the cycle. Then you bring the eggs inside and you must decide whether or not you want to wash the eggs. There is one more thing I want you to consider before we move on, and that thing is called the bloom. Now, we could go into all the details of what the bloom is on the egg, how it's formed inside the chicken, what it's comprised of, and all those details. But let's just say for the sake of this video that we all know what the bloom is. It's a protective coating that seals the egg and protects the inside from the environment. Now, obviously, if the egg has poop on it, the hen's already made up your decision for you. You gotta wash the egg. All right, let's discuss the first scenario. And let's say that you've returned home, and for the sake of this video, you don't really care if the egg is dirty or not. You have now removed that protective bloom coating from the egg, and that egg must then be refrigerated immediately after washing. And also, as a side note, do not wash the egg with cold water. USDA recommends that eggs should only be washed with warm water. Washing the eggs with cold water causes the egg contents to contract, potentially pulling in any bacteria inwards through its pores. Conversely, the warm water causes the contents to expand, helping prevent bacteria from entering. Now, let's say you choose to keep them on the counter either for your family to consume later or to collect them over the course of a few days to a week like we do, and then perform one washing. You can absolutely, without question, leave those eggs on the counter for up to 3 weeks. Why do I say that with an asterisk? Well, it depends on what season you're collecting the eggs in. If you are collecting eggs in the warmer seasons, then this statement absolutely applies. But if you are collecting the eggs in the winter or when the temps drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, whether you wash the eggs or not, they need to be refrigerated. Why, you may ask? Well, because technically they've already been refrigerated up to this point. Full disclaimer, this 40-degree rule is my rule. It is not based off a scientific study or anything like data. It is simply something that we've come to learn after years of experience of collecting eggs and seeing what happens to those eggs after they go through refrigeration and then thawing and refrigeration and thawing over and over multiple times. It is important to note that whether you wash the eggs or not, the eggs will start to lose their nutritional value after just a few days. As an egg ages, refrigerated or not, moisture and carbon dioxide are lost through the pores of the shell. The first part of the egg to be affected is the white of the egg, and this all plays a part in how long the egg technically lasts. The white of the egg will start to become clear and get runny, spreading out in a frying pan instead of staying in one place. While this does not mean that the egg is bad per se, it is a clear indication that the egg is changing and likely losing its nutrition. And just a fun fact while we are here, on average, eggs from a local farm contain a third less cholesterol, 1/4 less saturated fat, 2/3 more vitamin A, and 2 times more omega-3 fatty acids, 3 times more vitamin E, and 7 times more beta-carotene. When stored in the refrigerator, eggs can actually last for quite some time. If they've been washed, they can actually last in the refrigerator for up to 2 months. And if you didn't wash them, they can last for about 3 months, as long as you store them at a constant 40 degrees. It is interesting to note that most eggs that you buy at the store are typically somewhere around 45 days old by the time that they reach your supermarket. To better understand everything that we've covered, I've put together this flow chart, which I think may help everybody visualize and understand what we've covered. As you see, it's not as complicated as I've made it sound. I think most people will find out it's just a bit of common sense. Now let's talk about some bonus material. Now, you may be wondering, how do I tell whether or not this egg is still good or if it's gone bad? Well, luckily for us, there are a few tests that we can perform. One method is the water test. Simply fill a bowl with the water and gently place the egg inside. If the egg sinks and lays flat on the bottom, it is fresh. If it stands upright at the bottom of the bowl, it is safe to eat, but it should be used soon. And if it floats to the surface, well, it's best to toss it out. That egg is likely gone bad. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we have the freshest eggs around, and I can't show you a failed egg test. But there is one more way that you can test that egg, and that's to crack it open and give it a good old whiff. A fresh egg should have little to no odor. If you detect a foul or sulfur-like smell, well, that's a sign that the egg is spoiled and should also be discarded. We've talked about how long the eggs can actually last on the counter, and as well as how long they can potentially last in the refrigerator, as well as a couple ways to test them. I wanted to share with you a couple facts about chickens that I thought you guys might find quite interesting. Chickens were one of the first domesticated egg layers in human history. Research suggests that chickens were domesticated around 8,000 years ago and purposely domesticated for their egg laying. The earliest known chicken breed was called the red jungle fowl. Yes, very original naming, I know. And it was from Southeast Asia. It was also used for meat, but humans found very quickly that under the right circumstances, this breed could lay eggs all year round. There have been other breeds of birds domesticated for eggs, as you know. Ducks were domesticated 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, and quail were domesticated around 1,000 years ago. And interestingly, doves and pigeons will lay eggs all year round in the wild, as well as some species of parrots if given the right set of circumstances. There have been other bird species domesticated for eggs, such as ostriches, but they do still rely on a breeding season and do not lay eggs all year round. I do hope that everybody found this video informative and entertaining today, and if you did, make sure you hit the like button. It does help us out a lot. And as always, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a good one.